You are a silly cat.
Hello guys, welcome back to Jeep Destruction Central. Thanks for checking in today, it's much appreciated. Thanks to subscribers as normal, and thanks to you who have been contacting me as well, that's much appreciated as well. I try and answer questions as soon as I can, but you guys know I'm busy, I've got a full-time job as well, so I'm not always able to answer straight away, but thanks a lot, it's much appreciated. So today then guys, we're going to be looking at removing the pedal shaft bracket, as that one's worn out, so we'll come to that. And then we'll look at some other things as well. I'll try and keep it hidden away from view at the moment. But we've been taking things apart, slowly but surely. And the first thing then, guys, we'll look at are Rezeppers. So, what this Jeep had in it was tractor joints, which is this lower guy here, okay? And the tractor joint is a weird thing, which was only used on not many Jeeps, okay? They got rid of it. It was used on larger vehicles, apparently, and they used it on the Jeep as a smaller vehicle, and it didn't translate well. It didn't work well in the Jeep. Whereas more commonly you have a Rezepper, which is the top one here, which is a much better universal joint, okay? But this one was fitted with tractors, unfortunately, because it's a very late. This front axle is very early. It's a 42, and it's got tractors in it. And these tractors are worn out, and as far as I could tell, I can't get hold of replacement components for them. And the problem is that the bits which wear are integral to the shafts, you know, but there's loads of play in it. It's not usable. You know, when you're setting up your diff to be nice and the backlash, setting all that up and everything like that, if the blooming universal joint is rubbish and it's slopping around in there and clacking around in there, there's no point. So I've had to source something else. So I managed to get hold of cheap Rezeppers, which is good because some people are selling Rezeppers for a hell of a lot. But let's just say the top Rezepper there was only €45, so I'm really pleased with that. And I didn't pay much for postage as well in the UK, which is excellent. So I was lucky with that, guys. So we got one long NOS Rezepper, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see, look, there's the Rezepper's obviously brand new, no play in it whatsoever, so these are perfect. But I couldn't find the short one cheap, guys. But I could find a short shaft which goes on the inner portion here. Couldn't find the outer. But then I remembered that the outers, of course, are the same between the short shaft and the long shaft. So what I've done is bought a second long Rezepper, and I'll just source the short shaft for it, which shouldn't be too difficult. So that's great. So we're going to have two NOS Rezeppers. Good joints and good drives in this front axle, which is good news. The parts all came off well, and the other front drum, thanks for those of you who commented about the wear on that other drum. Yeah, it seems that the brake, previously one of the brake linings on the wheels had worn out down to the rivets, and those rivets carved those big holes in it. But apparently I can use that drum and it shouldn't be a problem, so we'll have a think about that. But the other drum is perfect again, so I've got 3 perfect drums, 1 scored drum, which is annoying, but there you go. But the knuckles and everything look really good, so these are good front axles, so that's good news. So we've got something good going on there. Let's have a look at a little other thing I managed to pick up then, guys.
This is like Jeep Christmas. Oh no. Alright. You have to give me a second to get this out. Yeah, this is looking more like it, guys. This is what I expect, you know, when you're buying parts off somebody and they say they're good, you don't expect something which is rusted and been under the sea. You expect something like this, you know, dirty and needs rebuilding, but, you know, usable still. This is what I would classify as, you know, acceptable. Obviously we've got to get into it and delve into it a bit, but everything's loose and free, and the shifters are moving easily and everything like that. It doesn't look broken at the moment and what have you. So let's get the bottom off and have a look at what's going on inside then. This is more like it, guys. This is what we're after. On first impressions, this seems to be pretty good. It's got the late war expanding style output there, so we're gonna have to sort that out. There doesn't seem to be any play in it. The play is on this rear yoke moving backwards and forwards, but the gear teeth themselves don't seem to have any play in them. My GPW one, which I left with the original gears in it, had a bit of play in it, whereas this doesn't seem to have much clunk or play at all, which is pretty good. And the GPW one ran pretty well, so this seems pretty good. So guys, these pedal shafts wear out. It's a steel-to-steel contact in here, which is a poor design, okay? Oh, hello. It's a poor design, and you're supposed to grease it, but people don't, and you know, the shaft goes in there and it wobbles around, and your pedals go all over the place, and they rub against the tub, and it's no good. So you can, I imagine, do the welds here and cut out the shaft and replace it. You could do that, or you can replace the whole bracket, and I replaced the whole bracket, and it appears as though Paolo at the long olive drab line, which is down here, there we go.
Paolo's produced a new kit, and his stuff is very good reproduction stuff. He does some nice stuff. I used it on the previous GPW, and it produces high quality components, and he hadn't produced this previously, but now this has come out. On the GPW I had a bronze bushed one, which was really good. This isn't bronze bushed, he's reproduced this exactly, so it's the original Pora design. However, I think it'll take 70 years for it to wear out again, so for the amount of miles we do on Jeeps, it's fine to use a steel-to-steel contact. It would be nice to have the bushed version, but there you go. However, he has made a pedal shaft which has the correct cotter pin again, because some of the reproductions have removed that cotter pin, and you can tell that a reproduction shaft is on there because it misses that final cotter pin and washer as well, so that's nice. So it's an accurate reproduction, and it looks very, very similar. So to get this off, guys, we're just going to grind off the welds down here and then use a chisel to help remove it and then put it on, okay, and weld it on, guys. So I'm going to get on with that, but we'll just check the alignment of it first so that we put it back in the right place, because if you get it in the wrong place, obviously your pedal shaft is going to be wonky and it won't match up with your tub, so you've got to be careful with that. Literally, that's all there is to it, guys. I've just got the cutting disc in there, and I've just gone underneath and just, you know, undercut that weld there, so that whole side is off now. Obviously it'll need cleaning up underneath, but that side is done. That took about 20 seconds. This side in the dark, guys, is more difficult because you've got this cross member bracket in the way, so it's difficult to avoid that. But I came in with some cuts like this and cut into it, and you can see nothing's gone into the frame, but it's just cut that bead of weld all the way around the edge there, which is great. So that, look at that. That was a 5-minute job then. So guys, if you got a really, you should replace the pedal shaft bracket unless it's perfect. I think it's not worth it. Look how easy it is. It takes 2 seconds to rip it off and replace it, so I reckon they're worth replacing. That's them on, guys, placed there. A couple of tacks of TIG weld and then we'll weld it all the way around. But it's good to see that Paolo's reproduction bracket is practically perfect. It lines up where the sort of the indentation where the old one was around the old welds perfectly, really. So very impressive work there. This should be really nice. Okay, guys, there it is. That's my amateur attempts at TIG welding there. Apologies if you're a professional welder. I'm only an amateur. I've never been to any lessons. I've never been taught. This is just something I had a go at and I think seems to work okay. So yeah, don't judge too harshly, okay? Just an amateur. But yeah, there you go, guys. That's 2 hours work, maybe less. 2 hours work for fitting a new pedal shaft bracket. It's not too expensive, and it makes a huge difference to the Jeep, and it's not that difficult either. You can see you just grind it out, knock it out, and then use the original alignment. It should just slot in with the original alignment and then weld it back in. You can measure it all up as well to make sure it's all exactly in the right place, but hopefully that should be a good pedal shaft then. So that's that done then. While I've got the welder out, guys, and I'm outside and it's good weather, might as well get on with doing these brackets as well. So these spring brackets are worn out and the holes are too enlarged, and especially as these are the front springs, they need to be pretty sturdy, really, because otherwise your front axle's going to be wandering and all sorts of things. And as I've got the brackets, I might as well do it. So what I've done, guys, is got down here and cut through the welds there and then drill out the rivets, which is all you do is you put a pilot hole in, then you work your way up in size. It's about a 10mm hole in the, if you're in Europe, guys, 10mm drill bit, and then eventually you can whack the head off and then it'll be separated. There you go, guys. That's it. So guys, that's it then. 2 brackets taken off. As you can see, they've come out well. The holes didn't get elongated or anything like that. So they're all ready for the new brackets to go on. I'm not going to do that today. I've got other things to do now, unfortunately. But it's pretty good for a morning's work. We've replaced the pedal shaft bracket, done these 2 brackets, got them ready. I could just weld them on, but got to do other stuff now. So not bad at all. So obviously pictures of something can tell a certain amount of story, and you look at it from certain angles and look, looks like a complete tub, doesn't it? I mean, it's got a rear panel in it. That's unusual. They're usually turned into, you know, hitches and things like that. The rear floor looks good and solid from here. Straight, good-looking sides, you know. So it's looking pretty good from this
angle here. You know, not much work required to get a tub like this going, but of course let's start delving in, and this is the thing, so you've got to be careful when it comes to buying old stuff. You want to pay as little as possible, because even things which look pretty good, just like with working on transmissions and transfer cases, if it's not really excellent and perfect and you've inspected it, then there's no point in paying a huge amount of money from it, because there's always hidden nasties. Okay, and I didn't pay a huge amount for this tub in the end then, guys. I can either keep it and get the work done to it. It's going to be a lot of work, similar to my last tub, which is new floors, front and rear, new back, side work being done, and the rear tool, the locker floors, and then some rear edge work done as well. So a lot of work, really, guys. Let's have a look then. So we can see down the side there, the footrests. So you can see the rust has gone through there, which means the wood underneath is obviously rotted out. Then we come around here, okay, there's a false floor put in there. That's never a good sign. That also means water can get stuck between the false floor and the real floor and rot it out even further. But the transmission hump is still there, which is good, and the floor is underneath it. So that's, you know, these are good signs. The cowl is straight, which is excellent. The glove box is nice. Look at that, that's really straight. So that's good bonuses, a good cowl and a good front and a good floor. So it's all straight up here. And the glove box looks good, but there are no holes in the glove box for any sort of data plate. So something's obviously happened there. And it's also got a late high hole here. So this has been replaced at some point. But this is a British Army Jeep, so this one has been played with and messed around with by the British Army, so they'll have done things to it, probably replacing this at some point. But the floor of the glove box looks nice. You can see they've written things on here. We'll probably uncover some more British Army bits as well. They put a horn button on it and all sorts of things, but the dash is not too messed up, which is good. And then coming down the side, we have the usual bits that we'd expect. This is all rotted out, so this whole side will have to be replaced. You know, halfway up there. You can see the fuel tank sender line there, original, and then of course this is all rotted out back here as well. New tank sump will have to go in. This rear portion probably needs replacing, and then the floor looks all right from above, but of course underneath, down the central portion there where the wood goes, that's all rotted out, so we'll have to see if that's recoverable or not when it gets blasted, but probably not, probably replaced. Okay, we come back. Now the rear panel looks pretty good from here, but it does have issues. Toolbox floors, they'll be rotted back there, although they look solid. When you blast it, that'll come through, so that's not great. The original toolbox lids obviously need some work. Willys stuff. But that's pretty good. And then, as we come round, guys, so we can see areas where the British Army have increased sizes of holes, rusted through where bits have gone, you know, the spare tyre stuff, and then the panel there with the gas tank completely rotted through as well. But it's deceiving because it's a nice straight panel, you know, guys. We can cut bits out of that and repair it, so we'll see whether that gets completely replaced or repaired. We've got the brackets on there, some late style stamped pedals which we don't need. And then let's come around this side, of course. This is where more horrors lurk, guys. Another floor rotted out there on the sill, and then this of course is all rotted out, but it's still got the shovel, the handles, although that one's dented, that can be fixed, and the clip there for the axe. It's got the studs for the half doors, which is cool, and you can see there's no filler in it, you know, it goes down. Underneath here they look all right, but obviously there's going to be lots of rust and lots of replacement work, like here on the sills, completely rotted out. So it's a lot of work, guys. This is not a straightforward job. So this is why, you know, you're looking at pictures online, things look pretty solid, and you go, oh, that's great, we'll have that. But when you get into it, guys, there's a lot of work, you know, floors replacing, front and rear panels, toolbox floors, things like that, you know. Glove box has been played with the door, that's obviously not original. Lots of work, guys, but we can do it. So we'll keep this one then. We'll see if we use it or not. Perhaps I'll just hang on to it, and if a better one comes around, I'll have that. Otherwise, I'll sink the cash into that. But let me know what you think about that. Looks pretty good overall, I think. But the details, the devil's in the details. There's a lot of money and a lot of work to fix this, to do it properly. So is it worth it or not? Now, the other part of this deal, guys, was that he had nice fenders, okay? So the bottom one is that one we had previously, which is a good one, really. Some repairs to do, but it'll be usable. Now, the one above looks amazing, but I'm not entirely sure about it. It is hasn't been fitted to a Jeep. It's a reproduction of some description, but is it a Willys of France post-war production? Is it a post-war Jeep product or something like that. I don't know. It's interesting. It's extremely good, and it matches this one pretty well. There are differences. The captive nuts aren't fitted, which makes me think it's a sort of a repro. Doesn't have, you can see there's the brace on the other side of this one. The battery brace attaches to the stud there, but they haven't put the battery brace stud on this one, which is interesting. Look how the channel there goes out wide. Well, the channel on this one goes wide in exactly the same way, which shows similar sort of manufacturing processes. And overall, the way the edges are done, turned and things like that, are extremely similar to this original Willys one. So, you know, guys, I'm really not sure. It does appear to be a Willys product, but it is a Willys of France product. I don't think it's a modern repro, and I don't think they were producing repros like this back in the 70s, because this is when some of this Jeep stuff comes from. So I'm really undecided about this one. I'm leaning towards it being perhaps a Willys of France product. Unsure about that, guys. Any comments would be appreciated.